Explain. This is the bill in Texas that threatens to ban all anime. For instance, if you were to watch something like Goblin Slayer, One Piece, Naruto, or Bleach, you would be labeled as a felon. You might...
Man, this is insane. I heard about this about a day or so ago, and if this is legit, if this is legit, I'm a big anime fan. So if this is legit, I don't know, man.
I recall this conversation earlier this year, back in February 2025, where everybody was talking about it, and it gained so much traction that we even have Japanese politicians talking about the subject and closely monitoring this bill that is actively moving through Congress, moving through the House and Senate, and how it can have an overarching effect not just on the United States, but also around the world.
Yeah, it would be massive. I mean, I don't know why they would do that. From what I understand, it's in the fine print. But can you imagine? Like, that would be insane. This guy is Chibi Reviews, by the way. I will link the original video in the description.
Because the bill, for many people's agreement, it's unconstitutional. It will affect freedom of speech, freedom of expression, it will hurt cartoons, it'll hurt anime, animation, drawings, it will hurt a lot of things. And so, a lot of people are actively watching where this bill is going. However, you might recall a few weeks ago, there was an article I covered and many others talked about as well, to where Niche Gamers said that Democrats block a bill to ban Goblin Slayer and other anime in Texas. And the bill in question that was blocked, according to this article, was SB 20, which I'm talking about in this video. This article is clearly not accurate. It is not accurate by any means, because the bill just a few days ago effectively was passed by the House. And it's actually worse than you thought. It wasn't the Democrats trying to block it. In fact, the Democrats all said yes to the bill, and so did the Republicans. So both political sides of the spectrum basically said yes to the bill being passed.
Did you guys know that for most of the people watching YouTube videos, only a small percentage of those people are actually subscribed to those channels? But subscribing is really quick and easy. All you have to do is first to make a YouTube account, which is free, and then after that, go down to the video that you're watching, hit the like button, which goes a long way in helping out the algorithm, and then go over and hit the subscribe button. After you've hit the subscribe button, click the drop down arrow and click the option that says all, so that can notify you whenever a new video from this creator has dropped. Subscribing is free, and making a YouTube account is also free. It allows you to keep up with all of your favorite content creators, and of course it goes a long way in helping out my channel, and I really do appreciate it. So with all of that being said, back to the video. I don't know where this guy stands up politically, by the way. I've only seen a few of his videos, so I'm not too sure on that. The only reason I could think of them even trying to attempt doing something like this would be there are some questionable things that go on in anime. I've watched a lot of anime, and their age of consent is a bit different, and some of the younger audiences, not audiences, but some of the younger characters are portrayed in certain ways that a lot of us here in the West would consider pretty inappropriate. I don't think it ever goes too far, but that's pretty subjective, and there's a lot of people that do.
139 yeses, 0...
I mean, with your basic, average everyday animes, like One Punch Man or Overlord or stuff like that.
0 nays, and 2 present but did not vote. So what this effectively means is it was a unanimous vote from both political parties to put SB 20 in action. So this article saying that Democrats were on the side of the people trying to ban this bill is factually incorrect.
Interesting.
This was made back the 8th of May, 2025. I wanted to point this out because...
Not that I'm surprised. Can never count on those Dems for anything, can we?
Many might remember I covered this topic, and so many others did, but it's very clear that this is aged very poorly, and the bill is still moving through, and so I don't know where this information actually came from. But let's get back on topic. So
fake news from what it looks like. So the bill hasn't become law just yet. That's stage 7.
What is the bill? Why are people worried? And how will this affect you? So first of all, we need to talk about this subject right here. It has been filed. It was out of Senate committee, then it was voted on by the Senate, then it was out of the House committee, and then it was voted on by the House. And as you can see by the dates here, literally on the 22nd of May here, it was voted. Unanimously, it passed. You can see the color codings here. If it's green, it indicates that the bill has passed this stage. There's 2 more stages for it to officially become a law. For instance, it needs to reach the governor table, and then the bill becomes law. And where you're getting the overall date of September 1st, apparently, according to this, if the bill does pass the government table, the governor's table, it will officially become a law on September 1st, 2025, pretty much banning all anime in the states, which means...
Is that what the bill actually says? Because from what I understand, is it kind of worded, like the wordplay is a little bit different, but it doesn't outright say that, but it'll give people enough wiggle room to where that actually happens. Can you imagine? I don't even know how they would enforce that.
That this can have an overarching effect, and this bill might be introduced into other states around the country, and might cause other countries to follow suit with this bill. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. What I'm trying to say is that the bill so far hasn't fully become law yet. However,
I'm not surprised he isn't reading the bill. I don't think he will. Normally those bills are like an ungodly amount of pages long. They add so much fluff in there, so it's kind of difficult to go through that stuff.
However, it's not inaccurate to say the bill hasn't passed. It did pass the House, and it is concerning, especially when you factor in that all sides, Republicans and Democrats, said yes to the bill, which means that it is not really a far-fetched thing to say that the governor of Texas won't sign it and say yes to it. It's very unlikely he's going to deny it. It's possible, but it's very unlikely when you have both sides agree on this subject. So, if it does theoretically happen, and it does become law, that's where things get even more interesting. It will obviously be pushed into federal court, aka the Supreme Court, and it will be, probably for many, many years, maybe months, I don't know, where it's going to be debated if it's constitutional or not, and at this current time, it's appearing that it's definitely not constitutional. So let's get into the wording and why people...
No, I don't understand why it would be.
...are actually
Let's get into it. Let's get into the wording.
This right here is what the Texas SB 20...
So here we go. So he's taken out a portion of the bill, and we're going to read it together.
...bill has within it, and I showed this many, many months ago when this was brought up, but basically, at first glance, this seems like a good thing that the politicians brought up. They're trying to ban usage of it.
So here it is. Well, this is what I thought. Remember how I just said about, the younger people portrayed? A person commits an offense if the person knowingly possesses, accesses with intent to view, or promotes obscene visual material containing a depiction that appears to be of a child, younger than 18 years of age, engaging in activities described by section blah blah blah, regardless of whether the depiction is an image of an actual child, a cartoon, or animation, or an image created using an artificial intelligence, applications, or other computer software. If I had to guess, this is probably a very strong reaction to the whole outbreak of AI. AI is capable of producing some insane quality stuff, and it's probably a reaction, and there are people who use it in an adult kind of way and depicting images, and that's growing so fast, so quickly, and anime has always kind of towed the line on that stuff, and anime is becoming more and more popular, and it just so happens that a lot of AI images, a lot of them look like anime characters too, and so it's probably as a response to that. But the problem with this is that there is an incredible amount of animes that have those types of characters in them. All of them, in fact, the overwhelming majority of all animes is going to have like a lolly character or something is what they're called, which is kind of like this younger kind of girl or a younger kind of a boy or something, and they're going to probably to be depicted in a certain way that we're going to look at that and just be like, Now, like I said, I watch a lot of anime. Overlord, My Hero Academia, One Punch Man, Jujutsu Kaisen, all the popular ones, Attack on Titan, most of the ones I just mentioned, I'm watching Fire Force right now. Most of the ones I just mentioned are going to have characters in them, they're portrayed to be like in high school or something, they're underneath that age, but then, I don't know, like they're wearing a bikini or something, or, one of the girls slips and falls and, something. So we would see that as in our culture here in the West, it's like, well, hold on a second, they're not 18. Now, in the anime culture in the East and all that kind of stuff, it's fairly normal. So what you have is these two cultures really clashing, and in an attempt to fight against, you know, child abuse and something that we should be fighting against, this really opens up Pandora's box to what they'd be capable of.
AI depicting actual kids and images of kids being processed through AI. At first glance, this is a good thing. I fully support that. I'm just going to be completely point blank on that.
Yeah, I think most people do. Of course, that's like a bad thing. You don't ever want to, you know, no AI images of actual, you know, children.
It is a good thing that they want to ban that, because obviously that is very harmful. However, the bill also adds and tacks on cartoons, animation, and other things like that in sculptures, which means that it won't just stop at actual real kids being hurt, but just random depictions in anime, manga, and also in cartoons.
And if you would say just ban the animes that have that stuff, you would be banning 90% of them. Like, in all honesty, almost every anime has some kind of character that is going to be seen in that kind of way. Almost all of them, okay? At least the shonen ones, the isekais that I watch, all the popular ones, yeah,
will effectively be banned, which is why the subject matter of you can become a felon just for watching Goblin Slayer, One Piece, Naruto, or Bleach, or other anime.
And those are the biggest, like, those are massive. I mean, we're talking about probably half of the world, or at least a third of the globe, have watched those and love those. Like, it's insane. It's crazy.
Has been brought up because of this.
Oh, Naruto.
Now, in terms of optics, when you look at the overall captions of this bill, it makes a lot of sense why both political parties have, you know, unanimously said yes to this bill, because obviously it does look bad if you go against this bill.
Yeah, depicting child and all that stuff, but the wording in it, that's what's problematic.
It does, because obviously, why wouldn't you want to protect a kid?
Yeah, exactly.
Makes sense. It does. It does. However, with the way the wording is and how loose it is and how obscenity laws are and everything, it could be really harmful to a lot of people. It can actually legitimately cause just blanket bans of anime, manga, sculptures, paintings. You get the point. So that is where the concern actually lies. So I understand why the both parties on both political sides probably unanimously agreed to this, because he might not have read the entirety of the bill.
Plus, I'd be willing to bet that probably 100% of those lawmakers and all of our representatives, you know, in the House of Justice and all that stuff, passing these bills, I seriously doubt a single one of them watch anime. Like, seriously. Even on the Democratic side, I doubt it.
And they might not fully understand what anime and cartoons are.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, there's a lot of old fogies within Congress, the Senate, the House, and Supreme Court. Yeah, of course they wouldn't understand technology.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's like they are old school when they look at anything in pop culture that's popular now. You know, there was a time when playing video games, there was a stigma to it. Now it's pretty normal for anyone of any age. There was a time when liking, you know, these fantasy movies, there was a stigma to it. Now it's pretty much all for adults ever since Game of Thrones and stuff like that. Same thing with anime. There's a time when, you know, people was like, that's childish, that's for kids. Now the majority of the audience watching anime are young adults, you know, 20s, 30s, stuff like that.
And cartoons and anime, etc. It's not meant for them. They don't watch what we watch, basically. So what I'm trying to say is that there is a lot of optics around this. There's a lot of people discussing about the AI segment of it, which makes sense why they want to ban that. I'm actually
it's a reaction
with that, because processing real, actual kids in an AI generator, yes, that is dangerous. Very dangerous. But attaching other stuff associated with that is what the problem with this bill actually is. That's why people have an issue with it. Because, like I said, you could just become a felon for watching One Piece or Goblin Slayer, which is obviously not a good thing. So,
no.
What happens next? Well, at this current time, the bill stages, it's up to the governor. We have to see what the governor is going to do. We got to see if it's going to pass or not, because for all we know, maybe the governor just denies it, and that means that it does not happen. It won't pass. But there's a very high likely chance it's going to, which then that means the next stage is the Supreme Court, which is not good.
No.
So we'll see where that one goes. But yeah, I wanted to keep everybody up to date because I saw a lot of talking about this subject. A lot of people have been messaging me in the comments on YouTube, on Twitter. People have been like, Chibi, did you see that the bill passed? And so I did some looking, and here we are. So for those saying that the bill has officially passed, yes and no. It's half and half. It's true and not true. But it's not a law yet. It's not a law. but it can be very soon, because it's past a lot of obstacles at this point. Now,
yeah, that's insane. And I will say, like, not only is this gonna really suck if they try to do it, but, you know, on top of that, it's gonna hurt a lot of companies, because a lot of these companies, you know, make their bread and butter off of anime, you know, Crunchyroll, you know, to name the least of them, and YouTubers. This guy's an anime YouTuber. I produce some anime content, you know, getting into it more and more as time goes on, but this guy's like full-time, you know, big old channel, massive, and I'll link his channel in the description. Go give him a like and sub. But this would hurt an insane amount of people, and the thing is, it probably wouldn't start off that way, but you know, people would abuse it. You know, it would get to that point to where, you know, they would try to get rid of that stuff, especially Hollywood, because Hollywood is struggling so much because all they're producing is absolute crap. And one of their biggest, if not the biggest competition they have is anime. And so if from the West here, if they can cut out that competitor in this legislative type of way, make no mistake, they would absolutely do it if they could find a way to go about that. And this law would give them the ammunition to do that.
Well, there's going to be a lot of people going to be debating the Miller test and vicinity laws and stuff like that. I understand that, but we got to also remember that this bill is being forced through by both political parties, so anything theoretically could happen at this point. We just got to see where it's going to go.
Yeah.
But okay, I love you guys.
So, yeah, great video. Definitely going to be following this. It sounds like, I believe he mentioned until September. If the bill is passed into law, September something, when it would actually go into effect. So going to be following this one pretty closely. I love anime. I've been watching it for several years now. A little late to the party on some of the stuff. I only grew up watching a few animes, and then went through a good chunk of my 20s never watching any of it, and then in my late 20s really picking it up. And I'm in my early 30s now, and so 4 or 5, maybe 6 years, I've been really catching up on all the great stuff, all the good stuff, and this would be crazy. Let's just say I have a VPN, and you may need to get one yourself and learn how to sell the high seas and what to look for, because if this actually does pass, that would be the only way to go about it. I mean, they would shut Crunchyroll down and stuff like that, which is like one of the few, if only, legit sources to go to. And it's just like, it's already hard enough to come by. Crazy. Anyways, guys, tell me what you think in the comments. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe on this video. I really do appreciate it. And thanks for watching.